What's good, YouTube? It's Crown Jewel from Crown Jewel Boxing, back with a gem. Been a little busy, so I ain't had a chance to address the final press conference for Errol Spence and Terence Crawford the other day and tell y'all what I think I saw. I think it's pretty clear. We saw the usual Errol, cool, calm, and collective. He was a little more stinging with his wordplay, talking about, how he was going to gut him and, basically he going to whoop Bud's ass. But what I will say about Bud, he looked extremely uncomfortable, just unsettled. Physical appearance, everybody talk about Errol having to drop weight and being drained. Errol looked pretty strong, pretty healthy. But it was, ironically, Terence Crawford who was sucked in, cheekbones very visible, looked really small and skinny, and just really looked unhappy to be there. Some of the things that I can say I looked to that tells me he was uneasy and he just didn't look comfortable. He's arguing with members of the crowd, going back and forth, showing all kinds of emotion. His trainer got out of character. They just look very uneasy. And, the killer is usually the quiet one. Cool, calm, and collected because he's very sure of himself and knows what he can do. And that appeared to be Errol. There was times during the press conference where he looked like he was actually praying when Errol was talking with his eyes closed. Just looked very stressed out. And, if he feels like he's going to gut the big fish, I don't understand why he's so stressed out. I will say, as a former fighter, I understand, like, that last week's weight cut can be very tough. But, this is top level that he's fighting on. I'm sure he has chefs, nutritionists, and strength and conditioning coaches to ease that process for him. And not to mention, he's undoubtedly going to be getting the biggest purse of his life. So I would think this would be a happy time. But he looked anything but happy to be there. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And that's a little alarming to me. And I think it should be alarming to some of y'all Bud fans too. Because he didn't look like he was too enthusiastic about this fight. He looked like a man that knows the fate that awaits him and is not too happy about it. And as the fight draws closer, he just seems to be more and more stressed out. Could I be wrong? Maybe, but I'm just telling y'all what I saw. He was very fidgety when they were standing side by side, bouncing back and forth and moving his feet, just couldn't seem to sit still. And that's usually the behavior of someone that's uneasy, as I said, that's stressed or nervous. He showed a lot of nervous energy. Am I saying he's scared of Errol? I wouldn't say that about a world-class fighter like Terence Crawford, but what I will say is that he did not look comfortable at the final presser yesterday. He didn't do a good job of expressing himself. He showed too much emotion and spent too much time and energy arguing with nondescript people in the audience that he shouldn't have been arguing with, and making threats about how it can go down, and his team is about that action and they get active. And bro, you're here to fight the biggest fight of your life. Those insignificant people in the crowd shouldn't even be able to get your attention. You should be focused on the task at hand, which is the big fish, and you're gonna have your hands full with him. So I'll say Errol won the press conference. It even reached the point where while Errol was answering a question, Terence was having an exchange with somebody in Errol's camp who was in the audience, and Errol actually checked them and asked both of them, "Are y'all done?" And Terence abruptly shut up. I mean, could it be a coincidence? Maybe, but it doesn't look good. Like, I myself, I think he shouldn't have been in the argument anyway. But had my opponent done that to me, I'd have had to fire back. There's no way I would have shut up and let him talk after that. So, again, like I said, I'm just letting y'all know what I think I saw in the final presser. If you're a fan of Bud's, if your money's on Bud, you might as well hashtag it scared money, because your fighter looks scared. And that coin toss was a little bizarre. For him to ask for that coin toss to see who comes out first and name get announced last, and then to turn around and say he didn't really care after he asked for that to be part of the negotiations, that's something else that was a little bizarre. Maybe he thought that, that was a good marketing tool, and, his lack of business experience and participation in fights of that magnitude and pay-per-view cards, put him in a position where he was making some not so great decisions. But I don't see that it worked. They try to bring Mike Tyson in. Okay, it didn't really add anything to the final presser. So yeah, I don't know. I will say, we're talking about this being the biggest fight in the last 30 years. I'm saying it's not. Huge fight, maybe one of the best fights in the last 30 years. But if we can remember, not too long ago, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Tank Davis fight sold out in minutes. They were at the final presser yesterday actually telling you where you can still purchase tickets to this fight. They did say they're limited. They're going to say that. But tickets are still available to this fight. And it's 24 hours away. Or it was 48 hours away at the time of the presser. You can't tell me it's the biggest fight of the last 40 years, as one of these prominent YouTubers said, and you still have tickets available 48 hours before the fight. That just doesn't make business sense. So while I too share the sentiments that it should be one of the best fights made over the last 30 years, I won't say 40 years, because that would say it's bigger than Hagler Hearns, Hagler Leonard, and I think we're going a little bit too far there. But I will say it should be one of the better fights we've seen over the last 25, 30 years. But again, definitely not the biggest, because the face of boxing, which was proven against Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis fight sold out in minutes. And here this fight was announced 8 weeks ago, and it still hasn't sold out, and we're less than 36 hours out at this point. So, that just proves again, Tank is the face of boxing. In other news, Devin Haney has, according to Mike Coppinger, has officially notified the WBC that he intends to move up to 140 and challenge Regis Prograis for his WBC strap. But he also is asking that they allow him to keep his WBC lightweight title, I guess as a safety net, in case he can't beat Regis. First of all, we know you can't make 135. Second of all, we know you don't want to fight Shakur. Third of all, I hope the WBC does not allow him to hold the lightweight division hostage while he attempts to go up and fight Regis Prograis, because he doesn't want to defend against Shakur. I think that would be deplorable to what's going on in boxing right now, counterproductive, and I think he should be able to be forced to eat the shit to get off the can. If you believe in yourself, you believe the 140 move is the move for you, jump. But jump all the way. Relinquish those titles that you're holding hostage, move up to 140, and take the fight with Regis. But to try to hold on to the titles and take the fight with Regis, I think it's a little deplorable. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, your ass off the floor. Peace.